So some people have asked me for my opinion on the debate last night, and I'm just gonna give it straight. That debate was complete trash. That debate was nothing but two high school kids arguing back and forth with each other and pointing the finger with the whole "I know you're not, I know I am, I know you're not, I know I am, I know you're not," and it's like over and over and over again. I know you are, but what am I? It was just
Wow, they are really trying to push that fair tax in Chicago.
sorry, a buddy of mine talking about fair tax, which is a disaster in itself because that means from the highest all the way to the lowest can get taxed however they want. But the debate last night was trash. It was disgusting how it was this perpetuated type of environment back and forth between both guys that were pointing the finger at each other, arguing like little high school kids, and it was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. Now, they both brought up some decent points that never really got talked about. One of the things that I like that that Biden was trying to hold Trump accountable for was he said, "You obviously knew about the coronavirus before everything really popped out of control. I mean, you admitted back in January you knew about it, and you didn't say anything." Which Trump cleared that up and said the whole thing behind that was the fact that I didn't want a country in a frenzy. I didn't want a country that was chaotic over this stuff, and I didn't really understand the magnitude of what was going on, like I would have liked to have known. So I can't really stand up for him completely on that aspect. Do I feel bad about him not saying anything? No, because I don't really think it would have made much of a difference. What was already rolling was rolling. Everybody has their opinion, and that's mine. The fact that Trump brought up Biden's 47 years of politics and he's really done nothing was spot on. He's really done nothing. If you look back as far as possible, Biden back in the day for years was saying nothing but, let me turn this off, this notification stuff. Biden has always said derogatory terms towards like minorities. He's always called them the N-word. Back in the day when it was more acceptable to talk down to minorities, he could be seen on Senate panels and stuff like that talking about Negroes don't need to be into power or need to be in power. Negroes need more education because they're not as smart as other people. From the beginning of time, Biden has always been a very racist, very outspoken person up until, the last 5 to 10 years when you had to clean up your act to be in politics. He's never really been the person to stand up for minorities until now. All of a sudden, minorities become an issue to him. Now minorities are a concern. And basically, it's this extreme version of a conservative, a right-winger that's running under Democratic cloaking. He's no different than anybody else. And then when you seen like Jo Jorgensen's come out, when she started talking, the libertarian, she had extreme left and extreme right views. So that's why everybody kind of shut her down and nobody's talking about her. Biden is it's just, he can't stay on track. There were several times last night where his age is really starting to show the fact that he can't stay focused on things and he can't actually he can't get anything out. Trump was just playing the whole blame game last night, just constantly acting like a child through the whole entire thing. But what do we don't expect anything less from Trump though. We don't expect anything less because that's how he's been since he's been on. That's how he's going to be. That's never going to change. The fact of the matter is, the unemployment rate has been the lowest since he's been in office. If we look at minorities being able to provide for their families, if we look at lower class and stuff having better opportunities and stuff, it's there. Biden claimed that the best time that we've ever had has been when Obama was in office. Well, that's a complete lie, because if that was the case, maybe the jobs were available, but unemployment was still at one of the all-time lows. When Obama was in office, he made so many promises to fix Chicago. He made so many promises to come into his home state and fix the problems that they were having, and he's done nothing. the most promising thing that came out of the whole Obama thing was the fact that Michelle was talking about better education on health for children in school, to learn about what's going on with their health early on so they can engage at a later time, or earlier on, to stop things from happening at a later time. That was so promising for me, and I was so ecstatic about it. The fact that they're giving power back to the schools to teach these children about things that they're not getting taught with their health, to prevent them from happening in the future. But the Republicans and Democrats could never come to an agreement on that, so it never happened. The Obama administration really didn't do very much for anybody. Even the minorities, the African American community and stuff now are admitting that, yeah, it was great having a black president, but what did you do for us? Nothing changed. We're in the same state that we were before. So it's kind of one of those things now where it's a he said, she said type thing. And that debate last night was a complete shitstorm. It was nothing at all. And here's the thing. When that speaker or the interviewer was trash, he was just complete trash. He would make accusations and try to point the finger at Trump, but then turn around and ask him a question that would almost throw him under the bus anyway. So it wasn't a very fair debate to begin with. It should have been an independent party that kind of had favor for both. That would have been the way to do it, or just not favored either one and just kept everything very open. This whole thing about Trump's taxes, you know what? I understand some people find that important, but the majority of us don't give a shit about Trump's taxes. The majority of us want the economy to be good. We want to be able to provide for our families and stuff like that. Biden brought up the fact that his administration, the Obama administration, are the ones that brought the automotive industry back to, the United States, and kind of brought production up and stuff like that. And that's not true at all. It's during that administration where the government actually had to give so many millions and millions of dollars towards the automotive industry to help them, because they were failing so bad. If anything at all, it was Trump's administration that really put the pressure on them, because remember what happened in Tennessee when they were trying to shut down that plant in Tennessee, and Trump stepped in. They had the big meeting and stuff at the plant. It was like a Chrysler plant, and he was like, well, if you're going to send your vehicles down to Mexico and stuff like that, and we're not going to have the jobs here, then I'm gonna tax everything 30%. I'm gonna add even more tax on everything to make it to where you can't affordably do that, and you're gonna have to leave the jobs here. So he saved like 1,700 jobs or something just in that one plant alone. So you see an uptick in automotive production in Ohio, in Iowa, in Michigan, not Iowa, Ohio and Michigan, where we never had that before. We never had that type of stuff. But overall, if I could look at that whole entire debate last night, it was a disaster. Trump didn't do anything but name call and point the finger. It was terrible. Most of the conservatives that I know were like, but we knew that was Trump. That's what was going to happen. And some of them got off on the fact that he did do that. It's kind of exciting to see somebody talk crap in politics, because that's not the professional thing to do. So when somebody steps outside of the box and does something like the normal layman's person would, people are like, hey, there we go, we got a normal guy here, finally acting normal instead of all politically correct. But then there's a huge majority of us that are like, that's not professional at all. That doesn't represent this country very good, and it's a big red flag to most people. I get it. I 100% get it. I understand why people are concerned with that and they're not okay with that. Last night was a complete disaster. It was a waste of time. I wish I would have never even watched it. I wish I didn't waste my time in it. The whole pedophile Joe, as everybody says, and his arguments were even more of a disaster. Trump at least did hit him with some good undercuts. And, your son and the billions of dollars that he's taken from overseas and stuff like that. You can't say all that stuff's not true. And the fact that his son with his drug addiction problem, I think that was a little low, bringing the drug stuff into it. That was not something that I would have even attempted to bring up, because that's not right. But that is the type of person that Trump is. If he needs to cut you down and let people know what type of a disastrous life that you're involved in, your family's involved in, unfortunately, that's what he will do. And the majority of people stand behind him because of how blunt and how brash he is about everything. Now, there's the part of the population that doesn't like that. They don't like what he has to say when it comes to that. You know, it's one of those things where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And we were looking for something different. We were dealt the cards that we had, and that's kind of one of those things. That's where we're at now. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I will vote Donald Trump 2020. There's nothing else to vote for. Now, if we had a great independent party, if we had a great libertarian or something like that, I would 100% vote for that person. If we had a person that was just evenly on both sides and not radical one way or the other, I would never vote for these clowns. Never, ever, ever, ever. But based on what we have to deal with, I am not going to vote Biden-Harris. There's no way. I could not do that. Harris, before she was even considered for the vice presidency, she just got done locking up hundreds of African Americans and stuff like that. This woman, since the beginning of time, has sat on a seat, a panel of being in a court system and putting people behind bars. Yet she's the one right now running under this Democratic cloaking. Do people not see what's going on here? Do people not see the bigger picture here? I guess they really just don't care about what's in front of them. They're being lied to. They're being lied to on multiple facets. And I understand Trump hasn't been completely honest about things, but based on what we have to deal with right now, there's no way in hell that I would ever even consider voting for Harris and Biden, because that's how it's going to be. It's going to be President Harris and Vice President Biden. At the end of the day, Biden is not going to run anything. They don't even trust him. You know, their whole principle behind standing behind him, being a political face for the Democratic Party, is absolutely a joke, and a lot of them laugh at it, but that's literally all they have to go with. And then you start looking at, you know, the Obamacare system that was set up, and Biden was saying that Trump's trying to destroy it. In multiple facets, he's actually made it better. He's actually secured the fair treatment for people that had prior conditions where that was not put in place before. He was saying that a lot of women's rights and stuff are going to be destroyed by the fact that Trump wants to get rid of Obamacare. But the plan that's put in place, or what they're talking about, which hasn't been released yet, is supposed to secure that doesn't happen. And until you let that happen, how do you know? A lot of people are out here saying and making all these accusations about this stuff. They don't even know what's going to happen. They don't even know the full-blown plan. So that whole thing last night, their talking points last night, how disruptive it was, how Trump constantly talking over people substantially more than Biden. Biden just looked like a clown the entire time. The only thing entertaining about that was the fact that Trump was throwing those low blows. And that's the sad part. Nobody should be proud of that. But that's the only thing that was entertaining about last night. It's sad because there was no constructive debate at all. People wanted questions answered. There should have been better questions asked by the interviewer. He asked trash questions that were not important. We want to know what's going to happen with this country and how things are going to change. That didn't happen at all last night. It's sad. It's really, really sad that was a waste of time for the nation to watch an hour and a half of two high school boys fighting with each other and calling and picking at each other. It was ridiculous. And it's sad that this is the time and this is the type of thing that we have to deal with right now. It looks bad on our economy, or not economy. It looks bad on our civilization here. It looks bad that this is the type of people we have to deal with, and this is the best. This is the best that we have. I mean, it's sad, but you have to work with what you have. And if that's the case, I will be voting Trump 2020. I cannot stand behind Biden and Harris. Unfortunately, I don't really care for either one of them, to be honest with you. I'm more in the middle on most things than anything. I do have some conservative values when it comes to military and police and stuff like that. I'm always going to have that. That's never going to change. But I don't really like either one of them. There's just so much corruption and there's so much destruction between both parties that just want to rip each other apart. We need somebody more green. We need somebody more in the middle. We need somebody that's more for the people and less government than anything, and we do not fucking have that, and that's the bad part. We need to find somebody and put somebody in place that's going to represent us in its entirety. Not what we have. The left and right have destroyed the whole... This is why voting is a logical fallacy. I agree. I wish we had a system where we had people that were in charge of different sectors of the United States and not one person overall. You know, the only person I want over me is God. So when I say that, like somebody in charge of health, somebody in charge of housing, somebody in charge of like the stock market and stuff like that had advisors that work with them. So one person wasn't taxed so thin being blamed for everything and trying to fix and control everything. But I know that's just that's a fantasy. It'll never happen. Maybe it will one day. I don't know. But the cards that we're dealt, we gotta deal with the best. And I've spoke my piece on that. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of here and go to work. I just wanted to give my opinion on last night's debate, and it was trash. It was just an hour and a half of wasted time, and the interviewer sucked. Man, he really sucked. All right, guys, be blessed. I love you all. Take care. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought about it.